This is an item that needs no introduction. Famous for its ability to wreak havoc on even the most skilled of karters, the Blue Shell's destructive capabilities have been a staple of the Mario Kart series since its first appearance in Mario Kart 64, which was almost 30 years ago. Whether through the skies or across the track, the infamous Blue Shell is obtained from the back of the pack and hurls itself straight to first place, exploding and stalling the current leader as a means of balancing the race. For years, there was no escape from this treacherous item. One could only hope they cross the finish line before it reaches them. However, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the most recent installment, contains multiple methods of escaping the shell's wrath. The Super Horn one-shots the Blue Shell like paper beats rock, and a well-timed mushroom boost can allow for a near miss. But the method that's lesser known amongst the community happens to be the most interesting, and that's what I'll be covering in today's video. Back in 2020, I was playing around with Mario Kart 8's mechanics, testing things like crazy bullet bill shortcuts, when I noticed something on Yoshi Valley. 4 years later, and after lots of experimentation and hundreds of dedicated hours, I can proudly say that I've mastered the art of Blue Shell Despawning. But what does this mean? The term despawning is a bit vague, so let me explain. First though, I think it's important we discuss some of the Blue Shell's traits and game mechanics, to get a better understanding of what I mean. 1. The Blue Shell can only be obtained a minimum of 30 seconds after the race has started, but this is the same as other power items like bullet bills and lightning, so many may already know this. 2. The Blue Shell, once thrown, has a lifespan of exactly 30 seconds before vanishing into thin air. This rule is constant. It doesn't matter what track, and it doesn't matter what CC. It will always disappear once 30 seconds has elapsed. I found it interesting that on the Mario Kart wiki, they got the disappearing part right, but they instead phrased the shell as being able to travel only a certain distance. This is technically incorrect, since it doesn't matter how far it travels necessarily, just as long as it doesn't surpass that 30 seconds. And 3. When the Blue Shell comes close to first place, it will rise from the ground into the sky and hover behind them. I will refer to this term as the Blue Shell locking onto the player, since once it's in play, it kinda just aimlessly circles the track until it's within a certain distance from the leader. This piece of information will be important for later. Also, in 200cc, a driver maintaining top speed is able to outrun the shell during its locked on state, until the driver makes a bad turn or gets hit, or something which will cause the shell to immediately catch up. I've colloquialized this as carrying the Blue Shell, but it's also known as outrunning. Okay, so they're the important mechanics of the shell. Now, here's what I've challenged myself with. After learning all this, I set myself the goal to try and despawn the Blue Shell through one of 3 different methods, on every single course in the game. I wanted to prove that it would be possible in a normal gameplay, in a Grand Prix for example, but I took a couple shortcuts to save me from being here for more years than necessary. So I made this rule set. The CPU are set to easy so I can get as far ahead as possible, and give myself the best possible chance of reaching that 30 seconds required. And the items are set to shells only so I don't have lightning ruining my attempts, and so I don't have to worry about second place getting superstars and bullet bills, things like that. And for consistency, I stuck with my favourite character and card combination throughout the entire challenge. By the way, I am well aware that I'm not the first person to despawn a Blue Shell. However, as far as I'm aware, I'm the only person who's tried despawning it in every course, and I wanted to show you the ways that I did it. So now that super long intro's out of the way, here's how I despawned the Blue Shell in every course of the first 8 Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Cups. By this, I mean the original 32 that were in the Wii U version. The other 12 cups will be another video. I'm going to split this into sections based on how I despawned the Blue Shell, so let's begin. Number 1. Getting miles ahead. To despawn the blue shell, you need it to be in play for 30 seconds, as we know. And by far the easiest way to ensure you maximize the time it stays out is to just get super far ahead. Luckily, some courses are less strict than others when it comes to how well you drive and how far ahead you can get. Take Sweet Sweet Canyon. This cannon glider allows you to get far ahead quite quickly and acts as an obstacle for the blue shell, since anything that travels through it, item or racer, become very similar in speed. So I'm able to get far enough ahead that I can force the shell to go through the cannon glider twice, while I only have to go through it once, buying me heaps of time. All of a sudden, it disappears from the map, and that's our first despawn down. A similar thing happens in Cloudtop Cruise, although the cannon glider section is shorter. I force it to enter this twice in the time that I do it once, and boom. Sunshine Airport and Rainbow Road also bless us with this super helpful feature. I recommend using one of these courses if you too want to try your hand at despawning blue shells. They're a good place to start because they essentially shorten the time needed to have the blue shell in play, so you don't have to be crazy far ahead. If you can catch up to last place, you've got a good chance. Longer courses like Toad Harbor and Bowser's Castle, or courses with sections rather than laps, such as Mount Wario, are also easier because it's usually just a matter of driving perfectly. If you have a giant lead, the blue shell sometimes takes almost 30 seconds just catching up to you, making despawning a lot easier. Of course, luck always needs to be on your side with this, and the further down the pack the blue shell is thrown from, the better your chances. It's much better if last place throws the shell as opposed to 6th or 3rd, and if you're far enough ahead, 2nd place can definitely get the blue shell, since the game's item system works on distance from 1st place, rather than the position you're in. Number 2. Carrying. Unfortunately, you won't always get lucky with course design, and so the most common way to despawn a blue shell is to just get as far ahead as you can, and when it catches up to you, don't let it hit you. It sounds simple, but it really isn't. You need to drive near perfectly, avoiding obstacles like rogue green shells, cars, and oil slicks, and sticking to the center of the track on straights and taking wide turns around corners. Races like Toad's Turnpike are the easiest in this scenario. Seems weird given all the cars on the road, but if you can avoid them, you have a generously wide track to play with, and anti-gravity sections on the sides of the track with boost ramps and ledges to trick off. The poor blue shell just isn't fast enough to reach you, and gives up. When the blue shell locks on, it's not afraid to cut corners, clip through walls, and perform some pretty unfair magic tricks. Whatever it takes to catch up. So it's important to carry the shell behind you in whatever way you can. The best way to do this is to use gliders and boost pads on the track to reach and maintain your top speed. Other courses with boost panels that keep you far ahead of the Shell of Doom are Mario Kart Stadium, Swamp Ruins, and Melody Motorway. Some courses have decent sized glider sections that allow you to do the same thing, like Piranha Plant Pipeway, as well as N64 Rainbow Road, which has some boost panels afterwards as well, to squeeze in a few extra seconds just after finishing the race. A few of the courses were quite standard, with a couple helpful features here and there, but were overall a big combination of how well I drove, how far ahead I got, and how much luck was on my side. These ones didn't take too long, and include Mario Circuit, TikTok Clock, DK Jungle, and Electrodrome. Electrodrome. I was worried about Dolphin Shoals at first, because all the signs were telling me it was going to be bad. You tend to travel slower in water, and almost the entire course is underwater. There's also a big turn before the glider ramp that the blue shell outright cuts, and the ramps at the start don't help much either. Apparently though, in 200cc, you can get some pretty insane water speeds before and during the moray eel section, and doing a ton of tricks off its back allowed me to maintain my speed for just long enough for the blue shell to despawn. Now, onto my favourite method of despawning the blue shell. Number 3. Blue shell hide and seek. This despawning method is super fun, and it's pretty easy to do. You just have to know where to hide. Among the original 32, I found a successful hiding place in 9 courses. By hiding spot, I mean a place far enough off to the side of the track and out of the way of the blue shell's path, to the point where it doesn't recognise you're even there, and it passes straight by you. If you're doing some experimenting at home and you're able to discover a hiding spot that I haven't, let me know down in the comments. Now, the first and most well known is obviously in Yoshi Valley, where there's at least a couple of different paths you can take to completely avoid the blue shell from finding you. The most consistent I've found is to take this path that brings you through a tunnel and out over here. Just before you exit though, brake and wait here like this. The blue shell will always take this path and zoom straight past you, and you're free to continue the race as normal. The blue shell will disappear before it even catches up to you if you're quick enough, and if you're far enough ahead, you can stay in the tunnel another lap and have it pass you twice. This is for sure the easiest course to do it in, and I've even done it in 50cc. In dry desert, you can park yourself amongst the palm trees just before the oasis and have the blue shell miss you. I mean, if you ask me, I think this blue shell needs to go to Specsavers, but... In Sherbet Land, as the blue shell approaches from around half a lap away, you want to jump over this snowy hill at the start of the lap and hug the side of this sign. You want to be quick with this one because the snow can slow you down a bit and make it hard to align yourself. Somehow I discovered you can hide here in Cheep Cheep Beach. I did accidentally fall off into the out of bounds area, but it still never found me, so we're good to continue the rest of the course. There's a few open spaces in Royal Raceway where you'd think you'd be able to hide, but the shell's still able to find you. Luckily, hiding out by this cliff right here allows the blue shell to fly straight past. Grumble Volcano has a fork in the road towards the end, and the blue shell always takes the right path. I guess it's probably quicker since I've always found myself doing that as well, but if you turn left instead and wait up at the glider ramp, the blue shell can't see you. Once you emerge from the hiding place though, make sure you drive well, because the blue shell is far better at navigating the difficult terrain of this course than you'll be able to, and it'll catch up quite quickly. Thankfully, 3 of the shortest courses in the entire game have generous hiding spots within them, but you'll want to be far ahead because the setup needs a few seconds. In GBA Mario Circuit, I throw myself into this corner after Baby Mario almost screws up my entire attempt with his plethora of green shells. Thankfully I got there just in time for the blue shell to lose sight, but because of how short the course is, it still ended up being quite close in the end. Donut Plains 3 has 2 hiding spots that I've discovered, which is pretty handy because you can choose which to go to depending on where you are on the course when the blue shell is thrown. If you're around the start of the lap, jump in behind these signs just here, and if you're around halfway through you can hide right in the corner by the item boxes. As you can see, I had to hide here while the blue shell did 2 full laps of the course because of how crazy short the course is. It doesn't help that the shell is super quick as well, so you'll need to be careful. Finally, Moo Meadows doesn't have much in the way of off-road besides the paddock where the cows are, but from my testing it seems like the blue shell can still spot you if you hide here. This worried me a bit because I knew that Moo Meadows was extremely short and I wouldn't be able to despawn the shell by carrying, since the abundance of odd turns meant top speed just couldn't be maintained. But by some miracle I discovered you can hang out just here on the right side of the track for 2 full laps, and the blue shell somehow completely ignores you. I saw that the blue shell hugs the left side of the road here, so I tried hiding on the right. I definitely would have thought the blue shell would have seen me, but hey, I'm not complaining. Oh, wait, apparently, yes I am. These are the 5 remaining courses, and the 5 courses that took me the longest to do. These races were mega frustrating, and I spent days or weeks doing hundreds of attempts in a row, perfecting my driving and thinking of new ways to get around the dreaded blue shell. However, in most cases, it came down to pure luck, and I got several attempts where the blue shell was out for 28 or even 29 seconds. As maddening as they were, it was all the more rewarding when I finally got the despawn. Here they are ranked from mildly infuriating to oh my god, I'm never replicating that ever again and you can't make me. Number 5. Wario Stadium. This one was annoying because I was getting really close. I had the method down pat. I wanted the shell to lock onto me after this turn before these boost pads, and it would follow me all the way along, through the fire rings, and onto the iron grid section, where I'd be forced to succumb to the outrunning due to this god-awful turn. In a perfect world, I could have carried the shell for over 10 seconds, but I was getting super unlucky with my fellow racers. With plenty of walls to deal with and some strict turning that had to be made, my attempts were consistently ruined with some idiot CPU chucking a green shell in my direction. After a few hours, I finally got it, but even this run wasn't safe from Toad's barrage of weapons. Number 4. Shy Guy Falls. This was a bit of the same deal. I was getting pretty close and I had a great strategy that involved utilizing these booster ramps and the glider to waste as much time as I could. I tried this several times and it did not work. I eventually just resorted to hoping for the best and got a 29-second attempt, finishing at the peak of the waterfall, which requires a U-turn that the blue shell just immediately catches up to you at. Stalling as much as possible gave me the win here. The run was not perfect, and could probably have been easier, but the blue shell kept being thrown from ridiculously high positions like 3rd and 2nd, when I wanted it from the back of the pack. When I finally got it from 10th, I locked in and gave it my all, and finally despawned the shell. Number 3. Water Park. This one required pretty good driving, to the point where I watched world records of this course in 150cc and 200cc, and adopted their strategies to get as far ahead as possible, like this drift into the water from the surface. Okay, look, I realise that drift was absolutely terrible, but just run with it, okay? I don't know how it worked here, but just... My Ferris wheel section got better and better, and I realised that to keep the blue shell as far away as possible, I wanted to stick to the centre of the circle as best as I could. This way the blue shell couldn't pull any sneaky manoeuvres and cut a corner to reach me. The CPU were getting awfully close to me at several points, but I avoided them and boosted off the submarine thingies to get this run. Number 2. Twisted Mansion. Whoever designed this course did not have 200cc in mind, and they clearly did not account for anyone wanting to despawn a blue shell like myself. Which I guess is fair enough, but the 200cc thing still stands. Like, what the hell is this turn? Like, seriously. I've got to hold hard brake here for like 2 whole seconds before I turn and release the drift, and it's so difficult to get the tricks off the moving carpet over here. Does anyone else get annoyed by this, or is it just me? Anyways, with the useless glider ramp being my only hope for any kind of carrying situation, and it not proving to work very well, I got stuck. It was super annoying playing this one over and over again, because it just did not want to despawn. I got lots of 26-second attempts, but I wasn't even getting that close. My strategy was to have it catch up to me just after this dreadful turn. So on this attempt, where the shell was thrown from right in front of my eyes, just a couple places ahead of me, I had to take the risk and pray it would work. Honestly, I probably drove the best I've ever driven here, and I dodged all the CPUs and their shells, whilst dealing with others that were being thrown my way. Thankfully, this strat lent me just enough time, and that's how I accidentally got Twisted Mansion. Number 1. Bone Dry Dunes. This course was my 3rd ever despawn back in Mario Kart 8, and it was pretty easy, maybe only took me a couple hours of attempts. The blue shell mechanics in the OG Mario Kart 8 are actually slightly different to the deluxe version. In summary, the blue shell travels slower overall, but the whole carrying technique is far less efficient, because the shell is just faster once it locks on for some reason. Regardless, I went into this one on the Switch version feeling great. Silly old me. Bone Dry Dunes was a nightmare. It took me over 3 weeks. I would come back to it after a few days feeling energized, and after just a couple of tries I'd throw a tantrum and give up again. The issue was when the blue shell was being thrown, and the items the CPUs were getting, and the stupid course design, and the lack of good strategies for despawning the shell. Basically everything that could go wrong went wrong. I got so unlucky with the items that it wasn't even funny. Here's a clip of probably the worst red shell RNG you've ever seen. I felt like one of Luigi's opponents in Mario Party. That's how cooked my luck was. This alone made me want to bury my head in wet concrete and let it dry. That's 6 in a row, in case you're wondering. However, I pushed past it, and oh! Another attempt destroyed because it seems as though Peach can't find it within herself the ability to respect the unique and wonderful art of Blue Shell Despawning. And here we are again. We're off to a strong start, and oh, what's this? 5th place has the Blue Shell? Fantastic. Let me just jump into the sand and suffocate. Huh? A good attempt? You don't see those very often. Oh, for God's sake! And what's our strategy again? Oh yeah. Let's carry it along this path since it seems fairly linear, and we can do some tricks. And ooh, a glider ramp. Followed by a hard 90-degree turn that I need to brake for over 2 seconds at. A turn where the Blue Shell will always catch up to me. I swear Nintendo was out to get me on this one. Bone Dry Dunes was looking close to impossible. I wasn't getting a single good attempt, and even when some of the stars aligned, all the others did not. I was staying up so late every night, having failed attempts all day. The once catchy tune of the course was now grinding on my nerves. I was on the verge of giving up altogether, when finally this happened. I had done it. By some miracle, the Blue Shell God smiled down upon me and put me out of my misery. My hands were shaking like crazy and my heart was beating ridiculously fast, considering all I was doing was playing a video game. I'd finally despawned the Blue Shell on every single course of the 8 original cups in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I was over the moon. As far as I know, I'm the first person to even attempt doing this, let alone documenting the journey. I've had my ups and downs, but it's been incredibly fun. I just hope none of the remaining courses prove to be as painstakingly difficult as Bone Dry Dunes. That would suck. So yeah, I'm working on part 2 already, but judging by how long this video's gone and how much time it took to make, I might need a 3rd part too. If you like this video and want to stay tuned for the upcoming sequel, you can subscribe and stay notified of when I upload. Thanks for watching, Baryonyx out.